Did you know that you can monitor your bees for Varroa using an alcohol wash? Today, I have with me J.K. Yarborough. He's the Natural Resources Agent at the University of Florida IFAS Extension in Orange County. Welcome, J.K.
Thanks, Tia. Glad to be here.
Great. So tell us, what is a Varroa?
So Varroa mite, or Varroa destructor, is a parasitic mite that affects honeybee colonies. And it has been very problematic within the beekeeping community since it was introduced into the United States in 1987.
Oh, wow. And how do you look for it in the beehive?
So to check for Varroa mite, we actually take a sample from our bee population in our hive, and we check for the Varroa that's in that sample. So we go to our hive, we go to our brood section, and we would find a frame that has some brood on it. And we're going to make sure we don't have our queen, because we don't want to sample our queen because we would lose her doing the alcohol wash.
Now hold on, how does the Varroa mite affect the honeybee colonies?
So the Varroa mite, the way it affects the colony is that it actually feeds on fat body cells within the bee. And so because those are healthy fat body cells for the bee, whenever they're depleted, the bee is in an unhealthy state, causing it a lot of stress. But also Varroa mite is a vector for other diseases, such as deformed wing virus, that could really cause some havoc inside of our hive.
So it weakens the bees and it can introduce diseases.
Exactly.
Okay, so how exactly do you check for them?
So to go to check for them, like I mentioned, we're going to grab a frame full of brood, has some nurse bees on it, hopefully. Going to get it during the day, let those forager bees be out doing their thing. Check for our queen, make sure we're not going to sample the queen, because whatever bees we do collect with the alcohol wash, we will kill. So make sure we don't have our queen. We're going to take our frame. We take about a half pint jar or a pint-sized jar, and we're going to collect some bees. You could put some alcohol inside, or some soapy water, or some windshield wiper fluid, whatever you have on hand. And you take your frame and hold it. You take your jar, and you actually run it downwards and let the bees scrape into the jar.
Okay, collect the bees inside of the jar.
Exactly. And so once we have our bees collected, we're going to give our alcohol and bees a good shake to make sure everything gets shaken up. Now, this one is sealed on top, and I have another one here handy that I actually cut out some number 5 mesh plastic, just from a craft store. You can go to a hardware store and get some hardware cloth.
Okay.
I just cut it out the same size, and I put it on. Once it's on, I just dump it out upside down to get the Varroa separated from the bees. So in this instance, we'll just dump it out like so, and you can see our Varroa float to the top.
Oh, so you can see the little Varroa mites here in the top?
Exactly. So you're going to count out your Varroa, and then we're going to dump out our bees. And once we dump out our bees, we give those a count as well. So when it comes to our Varroa load, we want to know how much Varroa do we have per bee.
Per bee.
So we would do some simple math. So if, for instance, we can see at least 2 Varroa here, we'll say there's about 150 in there. So that's 2 over 150. So that's 1 mite per 75. Our threshold is 3%. And then the saying goes, if you're rolling threes, treat your bees.
Oh, that's a good saying. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Well, so once you find out, you take a sample and you find out how many Varroa mites you have in your sample of bees, what do you do then?
Exactly. So if you do have 3% or higher of your threshold for Varroa, there are several treatment options we have. So most of them are going to be chemically inclined, so such as oxalic acid, formic acid. There's a couple of other things out there that we can use to help target getting rid of the Varroa mite and not affecting our bees as harshly. But there's also a couple of management strategies we can use in there to help decrease that Varroa load in our population in our hive.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much for telling us about Varroa mites and how to check for them and how to treat them, JK.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Tia.
All right, and now you know how to identify, check, and treat bees for Varroa in your hive.